Well, hello there, everyone. You have right here talk about for families, the in-laws right here, and I'm sure that in case if anybody may have missed this painting right here, that I have this up on my Facebook page actually, that I went ahead and worked some of this artwork right here that shows right here an example right here of me, and like say if it's going to be a future family-in-law, and including the mother-in-law and of course the father-in-law right here. But just to say despite about what the in-laws would look like and talk about for financial aid. And in case if anybody were to ask me that really, what does all this have anything to do with financial aid and, despite about the source of income, that source of information, stuff like that. But I just mainly want to talk about student aid, though, that, besides like the GoBundMe that I, put together right here is some examples of some in-laws. So, if in case if anybody wonders, is that, that whenever you do meet a future fiance, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, and you're getting involved in a relationship, that it seems like that, that it basically means is toward that you are claiming to be, somebody else, as what you call that, especially whenever you file your taxes, that there's going to be somebody else that you're going to be doing. It's basically like a group. Whenever you become, whenever you're engaged and you get married to somebody special, that's basically like a group, to where that whenever you file that there's more, more than one person, maybe 3 or 4 people of the family that you're filing for, and let's just say that, that whenever you're going to be meeting up with this somebody special, then if you want to call it, like say if it's the partner or the roommate, like if it's going to be a mate or somebody like that, somebody that you're going to be in a relationship with. And so you have right here this right here that I'm that I got this up on my Facebook page right here, but it could also use a little bit more work with the paintbrush, but I mainly want to go ahead and draw this. It's like if this was right here, it was supposed to be an example right here of like maybe like an advertisement, and in case if anybody wonders, is that wedding vow, but I'm like that where the engagement ring is and all that. But I also keep thinking too that exactly that while I'm in school, that at the time that there's going to be somebody who's going to meet me, or they find me just because I was a student, attending a school, or maybe from a job or something, somewhere like that, and that's how that they were able to find me. And so let's just say that if the situation goes by as to where that for while I was attending classes, that it basically is like say that how often would financial aid offer, I'm like, that would the situations be like as to where that, from basically from whenever you started it, that maybe you only agreed to maybe go to school for maybe 3 semesters or something like that, that maybe for 2 years, and then whenever the plans changed, and then you had a maybe, if you had a graduation day set at a certain time, and let's just say that during the time that you were going to school, that maybe if you met somebody special, and then you were supposed to have a wedding day set within a specific time. And so I know that a lot of those students will maybe say that if you're going to meet somebody special and trying to get fit a wedding, and I'm like, that trying to put a wedding on your schedule is pretty hard to do, because if like your source of education, trying to work it out with your school schedule and maybe your work schedule, and as well as that from the wedding day, for put something on your schedule for a wedding day or something, but honeymoon, or if it's a prom date or something like that, but still, that you have right here is this right here will be an example right here of like future fiance along with the mother-in-law right here. So you have right here is my name right here, and then along with the in-laws. And I like to say you have right here, you mention right here is like we seem like total strangers, for but we are family, and please welcome please welcome our please welcome our love for you. It's like please welcome. So let's just say that it this was right here, that kind of like an advertisement, that I guess whenever I was putting this together, I was mainly wanting to go ahead and work a little bit more on what my future fiance and her family was going to look like in the near future. That yeah, exactly. About you just spent maybe just a few minutes just to work with the paint tool just to draw these these examples right here of this in-law. But let's just say that if the mother-in-law would say that something like, "You're welcome to the family," and then the fiance would say to me like, "You're not alone," and then I would say, "How did you find me?" So yeah, that my future in-laws would maybe want to say is that this is how we found you. That we met. This person was working for a salon or something like that, was working for a business, and that's how they found you. They found you maybe on a LinkedIn file and found out that you were a student, and then want to know like if you want to join them for a coffee. So let's just say that with this future girlfriend, that's how she found me, and she asked me to go out with her to meet her maybe for a coffee or something like that. She looked at my resume, and it goes by saying, it's like, to long story short, that's how these couples met. But really, that most of the time with most financial aid, that a lot of students that would collect it, if you are a low income individual, if you only make so much money, and then the cost of getting a good scholarship, a good education, that would require you to have the right funds, just to be able to pursue it like that in that degree program. But still, that if we're talking about that while you're attending school, that it's possible that you're going to develop a relationship with somebody special, and what I call. I was thinking about doing this activity too, of talking about the Gold Monument, because I want to talk a little bit further about student aid, because we all know that if you're going to be getting financial aid, that seems like not everything goes by the original plan, because whenever you graduate, and let's just say if you go back for maybe a second or maybe for a third year, and it's like, yeah, exactly, that but in case if anybody wonders, is that too really, I'm like, is there really such thing as a part-time or full-time marriage? I mean, I'm just wondering that, in case if anybody wonders, is that to where, you've heard that before, to where working full-time or part-time, but, can you really do part-time marriage? Part-time marriage, what? I'm like, oh, well, in case if anybody asks, it's like, maybe I could maybe answer to where, that, does that mean to where that you're only, that you were not responsible for cooking the meals and taking care of the children, and that maybe the in-laws, but still that really that can you really get a marital license for part-time? And so I guess is that really out of the question, to where if they even make a marital license, that do that, to where that you are only married to this person part-time. So part-time, I guess if anybody may ask, as to where that part-time, it seems like that you only are qualified for only half of maybe the full benefits, compared to if you're going to be working a full-time job, or if you're going to be maybe attending church activities maybe part-time, or maybe going to the festivals or the clubs part-time or something. But still, that you're likely thinking as to where that whenever you start working on something, it's like, yeah, a lot of times you may tell this fiance, you tell your partner that you're only part-time. But I guess really though, that I guess that there is such thing as what you call this part-time marital license. But I guess in case if anybody warns as to where that's more likely dating. I'm like, dating, that you only spend about maybe 5 to maybe a couple of hours or so with your fiance, and you may only see each other at times, but that's not an actual marriage. So in case if anybody warns us that, yeah, that whenever you're going to be going through like if it's a dating relationship, or maybe if it's a marriage, then yeah, that's basically that narrowly you are connected with this group of families, and if the in-laws, and as well as the brother-in-law and then the sister-in-law, and maybe the cousins of the in-laws. So yeah, that you are basically connected to family, and I know that that if you want to cause to where that with me though, this right here will be an example right here of me, everybody, and yeah, that I most of everybody will maybe say that whenever you're single, it's like you may think as to where a lot of things that that you used to do, and like a lot of things that may be kind of embarrassing really to talk about, but still that yeah, exactly, that whenever if you're going to be a student, and then maybe if you're going to be collecting financial aid or something like that, and let's just say that if you are offered a job that pays more money whenever you do get married, or maybe if you were offered an opportunity to be hired onto a job, you're working somewhere, and so yeah, a lot of changes that could be coming up within the next 5 years, and sometimes that, what do you call that, to where that they come up, that these these changes that come up at the very last minute unexpectedly. So let's just say that that after you completed an application to apply for student aid, or maybe after you just apply for a job, and then somebody that really this is how that they connected with you, that they send you an invitation maybe by email, and then they ask you to meet them at the coffee shop, and exactly. Can you meet me at the coffee shop at 5 o'clock? I'm sure I kind of like, when then they start telling you that, make sure you bring your resume with you, and make sure that you can talk a little bit more about, what you do for your company. And so, yeah, they start asking you to bring the details of the information for what you do. And, this fiance may even ask you to meet them here at the coffee shop at 5 o'clock, but then I'll explain more whenever you get here. So yeah, so I'm sure most of us have been in that relationship, been to that situation to where that somebody asks you to meet them somewhere, and they're not really going to tell you the details about what's this all about, all you heard was, please meet me at the restaurant at 5 o'clock, or please, meet me at the airport, or maybe meet me at the hair salon at 5 o'clock, and I'll explain whenever you get here. And so, yeah, I'm sure most of us have been to that situation to where that you get a text or a page and say, meet me here at 3 o'clock, for brunch or something, or for a coffee, or maybe for some tea, or maybe meet me at the bookstore at 4 o'clock. I want to talk to you about your resume or something. So yeah, really I'm sure most of us can maybe think this to where that if you're going to be talking to somebody, then that's somebody that may only think that they only have maybe a minute, really to talk. But why is it that you are told that, further details whenever you meet this person in person, like whenever you see them in person, or maybe if you're talking over the phone with them, that, all you really hear is that, please meet me at this location at this time, and make sure that you bring, your resume, your profile, like something that they start asking about. So yeah, especially if it's a meeting, yeah. If you're going to be meeting with somebody, and let's just say that if it's just somebody in particular, and let's just say that this person, if it's a he or she, is going to maybe say that, the reason why I asked you to come was that, this meeting was actually about, that invite you to this meeting, so yeah, so let's just say if the situation comes to where that, if you're going to be getting financial aid and thinking as to that this meeting is regarding maybe your taxes, I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to be meeting this person, and let's just say that if you bring in your resume information along with your tax information, and it's possible that they're going to say that, I didn't bring you here really to talk about that, but mainly about, for who you are and what you do, and your career, for how well that for how well people know you as well for what you do. So that's just a thing that whenever we're talking about for the in-laws. So, but talk about for student aid right here. That if we're going to be seeing an advertisement like this, and yeah, that for $100. So yeah, that I'm sure most of us have probably said, I'm like, yeah, you may have seen it like more like a sweepstakes, and starting to remind me a little bit of a TV guide, everybody. You know, TV guides, yeah, you see all kinds of sweepstakes and, catalog, I'm like, yeah, other advertisements about, for a play for your chance to win or something like that, but still, that, I'll go and show everybody here, be my son-in-law. So let's just say that, if the situation goes by as toward that if you meet the father-in-law of this fiance, and let's just say that, this father-in-law works for an insurance company. Yeah, that, I keep thinking about that quite often, to where that, a guy, there's a man that works for this insurance company, and he asked, he asked this person to marry his daughter. I'm like, that's something that you would maybe see on one of those movies. So far as love and affairs and, relationships, I'm like, yeah, that, how many times has that really happened? To where that, the father-in-law or the mother-in-law is going to try to talk you into marrying their son or daughter, just because that, exactly, that the son or daughter did not feel comfortable talking to you about it, so they decide to ask the parents to propose. So yeah, that really, I'm like, how many of us have maybe thought as to where that that the fiance was too she was too shy really to talk to the man about I'm afraid to show him the ring, and I'm afraid to ask him out, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask the parents to go ahead and ask him, to meet me, here at the restaurant for a date or something like that. But really, that so let's just say that if there's going to be an in-law, the father-in-law who works for the insurance company, and let's just say if I was a student and maybe if the daughter was a client, so let's just say that this is how people meet, to where that one of them is a business person, the other person's a student, and then this other person's a client. I guess that's how they connect, and it's like, for the in-laws, that everybody seems like all total strangers whenever you meet everybody, and then, exactly, almost all the time, that it seems like you're total strangers. And what I mean by strangers is I'm talking about is what I'm referring to as you don't know everybody in person very well until that they're better understanding about who you are, and that whenever this person finds something, looks at your profile, and also learn too that despite for what you do, but still that so in case if anybody were to ask me that what does student financial aid have anything to do with being married, dating, maybe having a future in-law family, and I'm like, well, a lot of those financial aid applications would ask you information about the source of education of the whole family. So that's maybe only why I want to talk about it, is that whenever you're filling out a financial aid application, they're not just, this application is not just asking about information about just you, but maybe about the cousins or anybody else in the family. What's the highest source of education that a few people that have? And let's just say that in the next 5 years, if you have a cousin who wants to attend a college or something like that, or maybe if you have an in-law who wants to go back to school and further their education, and let's just say that if you were referred by the son-in-law, I'm like, say that my son-in-law went to the school, and then I would like to take interest in, and so that really, I'm like, where does it all start, really? But still, that but if we're talking about that with me though, that enrolling in school, and then plus if I'm going to have other schools that are going to be contacting me about getting enrolled in the schools also, but still though, that the way I think about it is that that being a designer, and like I say, that for what you think about what your in-laws are going to look like, but what's the basic rule about the financial aid? You're likely thinking as to where that does financial aid really land you to where the purpose about being married? I'm like, that's really supposed to be like a dating situation, to where that your financial aid, it's not really there to find love in a matter, but if anything, that that's to help pay for your schooling. And so let's just say that if the situation does go by as to where I'm sure that there's something that maybe that the government could pay for. I say that if you cannot afford an actual wedding, and then maybe that there is a website you can go to make weddings more affordable. But we're talking about for student aid here. But still, though, that in case if anybody wonders, is that exactly that whenever you first started enrolling in school and applying for financial aid, that you file for single. But let's just say within 3 years from now, that maybe that you say that you're engaged, or you don't think that you're quite engaged yet, but now you're entering your 3rd year. But I just mainly want to show everybody here this right here, because I'm sure it's on my Facebook page, like I said before. But still, though, that the artwork's just a little bit. Maybe just a little bit, choppy, but, still, that, this right here is supposed to be, my fiance, as if she were kissing me. I'm like, exactly, that, you don't know everybody yet. I guess, whenever you graduate, and then, maybe as time goes on, and whenever you meet, these couples, this family, this side of the family in real life, it seems like that, everybody seems like total stranger, because everything seems so totally different compared to whenever you're talking to them maybe by text or meeting online, or any other anything else that involves how families and relationships and all that connect. But still, though, that with me, though, that being a student too, that I also keep thinking too that from where I started too, that in case if anybody wonders as to where that this fiance, if you want to know how she met me, well, apparently that she met me because that I had a student loan that I had to take care of from before, or maybe she met me at the tax office. Yeah, exactly. That how many of us can maybe say that they're too embarrassed? Yeah, exactly. How many of us can maybe say that your relationship developed whenever you were kind of mad at each other? You were mad because of some reason, but then later on that you finally worked out the issues, and maybe it could have been about maybe trying to take care of your taxes. Exactly, that if you had problems with your taxes, and so that I say that how are you going to develop a real good friendship relationship with maybe a few couples? I'm like, how are you going to be able to develop this relationship if you seem to be mad all the time about what's going on, about maybe if it is the finances, or maybe if it is about time arrangement, about when you were supposed to meet somebody at a certain time, at a certain location, or anything else that could be what's called a family matters. But still, that at the time that I could say that whenever this person met me, that I had loans, I had credit card payments. So anybody say if you have credit card payments that you were making, maybe mortgage payments, but still, though, that I guess the question could go by as to where that you're not alone, and then how did you find me? So that I'm sure most of us would have our own stories of how we want to explain about to where that how people find each other, and even though if it's kind of embarrassing about how they found each other, and let's just say that if it is over medical concerns, I'm like that. If you were having a lot of health problems during a time, maybe you don't really want your future fiance really to know about those medical problems. And I don't blame anyone. I'm like, exactly, that medical problems, that's not everybody really wants to share their medical problems, and I'm sure the fiance, she might be concerned of the matter, but still, that how many of us could maybe say that you want that to be kind of kept private, to where your fiance does not really need to know all your medical history, other than that if you're in good health, but you got medical problems, but still, though, that whenever you're going to be meeting somebody, that you do come up to those situations to where something that's pretty embarrassing, something that's what you call that you just want to keep that privately, but still, that in case of the fiance or somebody else finds out, then it's like, yeah, exactly, explain the details. But I know that, in case if anybody say that, yeah, that's one of the reasons, maybe another reason why, that maybe that the gentleman would lie about what's about the relationship, or lie about something going on with their case, and they'll say that, yeah, that they may lie just because, so that the fiance would like them, just because, a lot of people would say that the reason is because so you can like me. I was afraid that you wouldn't like me, so that's why I told you, I did not tell you the truth about this situation. But still, though, that in case if anybody warns, is that, yeah, well, you think that I wouldn't like you just because of that? But, anyway, but the way I think about it is that, talk about for the in-laws, too. So in case if anybody warns, is that, yeah, that with the in-laws, that whenever you're coming up those situations to where that you're going to be meeting somebody special, your partner, and like I say, is to where you're not alone, or how did you find me? So yeah, that a lot of times that I feel like there was where that, yeah, try to handle situations, but from all the love and support that you can get, based on a situation. But talk about for student aid right here, and yeah, that I can tell my fiance too that back whenever I was young, that I used to always wonder what $100,000 was. But in case if anybody were to say that, yeah, exactly, that whenever you first meet somebody, and exactly that you have had your struggles and you've had your times, but still that but showing about what really what love is. But the way I think about it too, that to show about is that whenever you meet somebody in particular, that seems like a lot of times that exactly, you're gonna maybe tell them something like, yeah, I know a lot about video games, or I know a lot about, I read a lot of books, and maybe that, your favorite place to eat, or maybe your favorite place to go, go during the weekends or something like that. But anyway, but still though, that talk about for the in-laws, so that whenever couples do get married, and then whenever they do meet, it seems like how well that you get to know the in-laws, because there might be a situation to where that the in-laws know me very well, just because they read my profile, just because they knew all that time that I was a graduate student, and then maybe I was applying for a job somewhere. So it's like, yeah, exactly, that, you don't have to tell them. They already know. They can see that, exactly that you're working there at the business or something. They can see that you graduated, or yeah, you're and that's it. I'm like, yeah. So in case if anybody were to say that, who's going to be, anything about news post, I'm like, anything about what's updated about, about your case. But in case if anybody says that, yeah, a marital license part-time. Really? I'm like, really? Is there really such thing as what you call this marital license, part-time? But I guess if you want to call it, if there is, then that's more likely engagement. I'm like, whenever you're engaged, that's basically part-time. Yeah, that's not exactly that. The difference between part-time and the difference between between being engaged and being married. It basically means as to where that you're about to be married. But so in case if anybody says that, yeah, that's an engagement right there, part-time, that's an engagement. But whenever you're married, that's basically, yeah, the full license. But anyway, so yeah, that in case if anybody wonders as to where that different ways of how people connect. But let's just say if that situation goes by as to where that, yeah, that if it was because you were a student, or maybe if you were struggling a lot with something, and exactly, how does a relationship begin? But the way I think about it too is to where that, yeah, from about what everybody does is knowing about how much love and support that you can give to one another. Best way I could say is that for how much that they respect that, to where that, for who you are, and then, what the in-laws respect about that as well. But other than that, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.